Our goal for this hearing is to gain a better understanding of the federal government's liabilities for everything, but in particular this morning for managing nuclear waste and the budget implications of that responsibility. We first held a hearing on this topic 2 years ago, and we'd like to know what progress the federal government has made in addressing the problem over the last 2 years. Nuclear waste results from both civilian and defense activities. Nuclear energy supplies approximately 20% of our nation's electricity. Nuclear fuel and weapons, nuclear weapons are obviously an important part of our national security and our economy. During this hearing, we will focus on waste that comes from commercial nuclear energy production. Under the Nuclear Waste Policy Act of 1982, the United States government was to have begun in 1998, some years ago, to remove nuclear waste from commercial reactors and to dispose of it in a central national repository. Yucca Mountain in Nevada was chosen as the site for this repository. Since 1983, commercial utilities have paid the federal government a fee for this service. These fee collections, which range from $700 to $800 million a year, are placed in a nuclear waste trust fund. For more than a decade, the federal government has not begun to take this waste from these sites. Nuclear waste and spent nuclear fuel is being stored currently at 121 sites in 39 states. Even under the most optimistic time frame, by the time the federal government opens a repository, it's likely to face at least a 20-year backlog of waste. Federal delays have resulted in additional costs. In addition to direct lifetime project costs for Yucca Mountain that are now estimated at $100 billion, many utilities have sued the federal government for breach of its responsibilities. They've been winning their lawsuits. Present estimates of the eventual total cost of the awards and settlements related to this litigation range from $12 billion to $50 billion. Each year delay in meeting the federal responsibility has been estimated to add another $500 million to the federal government's liability. As I was explaining to our witnesses earlier, we're looking for things where we book an asset, the Nuclear Waste Trust Fund, with the receipt of funds coming into us, but because we run a big cash budget, we don't necessarily book the liability that we accrue for waste disposal. I would readily acknowledge that we are the Budget Committee, not the Energy Committee. It's not our job or domain to write energy bills. But it is our job to develop fiscally responsible policies addressing significant cost drivers in the federal budget. And we're concerned that the federal government's failure so far to resolve the problem of nuclear waste disposal is costing the American people and the federal government large sums of money. For this reason, the issue merits our committee's very careful attention this morning. We appreciate once again your coming today. We look forward to your testimony, but before I turn to you, let me turn to our ranking member, Mr. Simpson, for any statement he cares to make.